This is much better. It helps me a little bit to hide as well. Over the past few days, I have been deeply blessed to visit local churches, communities across Canada, staying with gracious host families. Words cannot fully express my appreciation for the extraordinary warmth and hospitality shown to me. I am especially grateful to my dear brother Norm and Fanose Lagasa, along with their families, for hosting me and serving me and guiding me and also helping me as my chauffeur. They drive me here and there. My sincere thanks also to the Canada Mennonite Church. Thank you so much. And also for Darrell and Florence for accepting me in your home. I deeply appreciate it. Though I have many wonderful people during my travels, I apologize if I cannot recall every name or place where our paths crossed. Tonight, I am truly privileged to share my story with you. I accept this invitation as a profound gesture of mutual respect and love between you and Maserati Christos Church in Ethiopia. Your willingness to invite someone from different culture with limited knowledge of your context and language reflect great trust and courage. As I speak, I appreciate your grace as well. When we send children during Sunday school for Sunday school program, no matter how they spell, no matter how they make mistake, everybody cheers and encourage. I'm asking that grace tonight for myself. My story is part of the large story of Maserati Christos Church. Before I'm going to share my own story, as part of that story, I would love to start with the Maserati Christos Church, how the Mennonite came to Ethiopia. Imagine I am introducing 75, 80 years story in 20 minutes. Still, I have 20 minutes anyway. Mennonite missionary arrived in Ethiopia during the reign of Emperor Haile Selassie during Second World War. As part of the modernization effort, the emperor granted Mennonites permission to enter the country. However, they were restricted from preaching the gospel, and they were only allowed to participate in development program initiated by emperor. Despite this restriction, the missionary quietly shared the gospel, and the individual gradually came to embrace the message of Jesus Christ. This led to the first baptism of new believers, marking the birth of Maserati Christos Church in 1951. When the Emperor Haile Selassie government changed by the communists, the Mennonite missionary was chased out from the country. I cannot go further to share something that is related to the government change and the political change, and that is a long story by itself. When the communist government confiscated the church went underground for at least 10 years. I vividly remember when the church closed. I was persecuted from the area I used to live and forced to live in the church compound. And the church allowed me to sleep in the church on the church bench. And the church was not only the place of worship for me at that time. The church was my home. I remember it is January 1982, Sunday afternoon. I went to do the Bible study program, and that requires me to travel about 20 kilometers away from Addis. I supposed to stay there during that time. At that moment, on that day, one of the security guard of the Masarat Christos Church took his annual leave, and he discussed with the administrator, and he gave me the key for the church, the building and the office and everything. But at that time, because of that Bible study, I left, and one brother stayed. The key was with me, and by Sunday morning when I came back, the church was surrounded with the government military power. I was deeply disappointed. Not only because the church was closed, my disappointment was mainly that brother was taken to prison. My deepest regret and the sorrow was I missed the opportunity to take him to prison. That was my deep regret. And then I started talking with others, senior brothers and sisters. I told them, the key is with me. There is no reason to take this brother, and shall I report to tell them I have the key? Take me with this brother. And I learned that the church leaders was also taken to prison. I missed that opportunity. That was my great disappointment. And as I said, never dare to go and report. Stay away from what you are thinking. The Lord knows your capacity. You may deny the Lord. And as I said, stay away. Never report. I accept their advice. But gradually, I managed to enter to the church compound, telling to the security guard, I am the security guard of the school. The church is closed, but the school was allowed to function. And I told them I am part of the security guard for the compound, and allow me to stay here, work. And they said, yes. My reason to go back was I know where so many Bibles was stored in part of the school rooms. I know where some of the music, the choir music was stored. My intention was to stay there and being nice to the security guard and manage to smuggle those Bibles. And I managed it. That was one of my sins. I am going to confess this to you. Because I act as security guard, but my intention was to take those Bibles and smuggle to the church and for the underground program. We managed to organize the underground program. If that was not happen, there is no way for me to become full-time ministers. I was in grade 7. I was not allowed, and nobody allows me to be part of full-time ministry during underground program. God, by his own way, allows me to serve in the church, including during those persecution time. Our main job for young adults and women was to organize that underground program. We have codes to share with each other. If some program is taking place in some area, we know the home, the house, and then we are meeting with people who are going to that place. We are acting as if we are playing ball on the road as small kids, disguising ourselves and kicking the ball to the person who is coming against us and telling, and we are going to kick the ball to that gate, and you have to know how to get there. Then we kick the ball, and the guy knows where they're supposed to go. So that was one of the key, and so many things happened during those days. The church stayed for 10 years, and when the church get underground, the membership was 5,000. But during those 10 years, the church grew from 5,000 to 52,000. That is because of God's mercy. Yes, the church went underground, but each member of the church was encouraged to share the gospel wherever we are located, at work, with neighbors, and at school, wherever we are located, to keep talking about Jesus Christ, our Lord. That involved cost, but we determined, our church, the Masarat Christos community determined to share the gospel despite the cost it involves. Why we share the gospel? To illustrate why we preach the gospel, intentionally remember the story from 2 Kings, chapter 7, verse 3 through 9. I'm going to read the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole, but the story is this. You know the story. 4 lepers sat at Samaria gate during terrible famine. Starving, they said, "Why stay here until we die?" They entered the enemy's camp and they found it deserted. God had driven the enemy away. They ate, drank, and gathered treasure. Then stopped and said, "We are not doing right. This is a day of good news, but we are keeping silent. If we wait, punishment will overtake us. Let us go and tell." Brothers and sisters, we are living in a world tearing itself apart, consuming by division and despair. Yet, in this darkness, the church is God's alternative community, a beacon of light. We are called to shine where hope has faded, to bring life where darkness choked. If you have truly met Christ, the living light who conquered sin and death, how can we stay silent? In Ethiopia, we know religion well, more than 1,500. Christianity came to Ethiopia since 4th century. We have no lack of religion. That is not our problem. We are famous for it. But what we need is an encounter with the one who delivers us from the power of darkness and the sin. That is what Mennonites did through sharing the gospel. We have religion. We don't know Jesus. Nobody told us who this Jesus is. We never allowed to read the Bible for ourselves. We consider ourselves Christians, but we never encountered Jesus the Lord. That is what missionary did. Let me share a little bit of my story before these 20 minutes began. I grew up in a broken family situation. My mom and dad divorced when I was a year old. I grew up with my grandparents. We were living close to each other, with my father as well. My father divorced about 8 wives. He would remarry, divorce, and marry and divorce. It looks like that is his full-time job. And my relationship with my dad was horrible. When the communists came into power in Ethiopia and the revolutionary leaders took over private property and land, my grandfather, who used to own land, lost his land. He gave up and got discouraged. He survived for only 2 years and passed away. My father was never ever called my name except for 2 reasons: to send me to do something as a child or to beat me to death. After my grandfather passed away, by the way, we don't have 911, if you think. Why are not calling 911? That is not in our calendar, in our agenda. After my grandfather passed away, I learned that I cannot stand to stay with my father. The only option I had was to run away from home, wherever my feet takes. I found myself a rural boy from countryside. I found myself in Addis, the capital city, where everything is different. I became a street boy. And I grew up with huge resentment, anger, disappointment, hopelessness, confusion, and don't know what to do with my life, and without hope and without support. Still, I was anticipating I am going to grow, but not to love life. The only thing I was imagining was to grow, to take revenge against my father. That was my only reason for living, wishing to grow up and take revenge in a way that my father never forget. That was my hope. Not only my father, that includes my stepmom. At one point, Mesrata Christos church members, the Mennonites, found me, and I cannot go to the detail. And they introduced me to Christ. That was before the Addis Ababa local church was confiscated by the government. And before the church went underground. For the first time, when they took me to the church, I heard the choir singing. They were singing. I didn't know what it meant, but something touched my life. All of a sudden, I cannot explain what happened. Words cannot explain my experience. I became baptized with love. I can never explain that love. Love that words cannot explain. Baptized with love. I found myself a new person. I start to love people I never met before. My life was transformed, full of love. At that moment, I forgave my father. I forgave you, I thought. I decided to go home, not to take revenge, but to give a hug to my father who never gave me a hug. I was giving back from what I received. I found a father. I found a mother as well. My relationship with my mother was also strange. When people are talking about mother and father, for me it is a different story. Now I have father and a mother. That is Jesus. Praise the Lord. The world hungers for light, and we carry the light of the world within us. How could we keep such hope to ourselves? It takes courage, it takes compassion, but we cannot do by our own strength, except through the power of the Holy Spirit. When we are talking about the Mesirat Christos Church growth and expansion, it is not by human ingenuity, by human strategy. It happens by the power of the Holy Spirit. Before I conclude, maybe that 20 minutes is now open. As I conclude, I urge to embrace unity in fulfilling God's mission of reconciliation through sharing the gospel. The Mennonites came by leaving their comfort zone to share the gospel with us. They ate our food, they drank our water, and they slept on the floor, and they left their comfort zone. Sometimes when I'm hearing from my brothers and sisters in this part of the world about colonizers, it feels strange because we experience God's love through their ministry, through their willingness to share the gospel with us. If everything what we reflect back about the missionaries, about the mission, is only related with colonization, that feels for us in the other part of the world very strange. If that is considered as colonization, who said that? If that should be corrected, who is going to correct? If that wrong was done by the global north, who is going to correct? If the wrong was done by the global north, you did by yourself, without including us, now you are trying to correct it in our absence. That is another colonization. If what happened before was colonization, if that should be corrected, where is our voice? Are you going to correct it in our absence? Which means you are telling us you have the power to colonize us, and you have the power to decolonize or to do whatever that word by yourself. Still, you are showing us how powerful you are. That is another way of colonization. If that should be corrected, it should be include us. The best way to correct even the wrong done in the past is not by one side. It should be include both of us. In fact, from Ethiopian Mesirat Christos Church perspective, Ethiopia, the country, never colonized. And we cannot imagine, in fact, what that means, but we know colonization was happened in the past. But the colonization issue was the political power, it's not the church. But if we are taking everything from the political power as if it is the church, we are combining the politics and the church mission together and try to fix it without including the rest. The best way is, my brothers and sisters, I urge us to embrace unity in fulfilling God's mission of reconciliation through sharing the gospel. Essential to this is acknowledge the complex legacy of missions intertwined with colonism in the global south, a source of understandable reluctance and a critic. Genuine correction requires the essential partnership, wisdom, and the voice of the global south churches alongside global north initiative. Failure in this authentic engagement will inevitably hammer resource sharing and the leadership development vital for the South. Yet, the global mission movement belong ultimately to Christ will continue flourish. This very flourishing, however, underscore the cost to the north, diminished spiritual growth born of disconnection from the global body vitality. Let us reject all pride, whether in the South vibrant growth or the North resource, for such pride kills the very mission of the Church of Jesus Christ. And instead, let us come together as God's people, bringing the gospel of hope and the reconciliation, and following Jesus our Lord and the Savior, become true model of unity and love to the world. Thank you.